Are you winning, son? Welcome aboard the Dragonship.
Through the white thunderstorms, we ride on the back of our truckers in a fearless stride. Sons of gold, hearts made of fire, conquering lands, fueling our desires. Roaring engines and lightning in our eyes. United we stand, our strength won't compromise. From the east to the west, we sail, we roll with our warriors. Never feel alone, landscapes of freedom. Beneath open skies, the promised land where our spirits arise. We battle the storms and tides of the sea. Now we've arrived in the land we're meant to be.
Some people dream success. Don't let your dreams be dreams. You should get to the point where anyone else will quit, and you're not gonna stop there. So just do it.
Yes, sir.
Just freaking do it. I think that's what Duke said in our private chats when I
just
was
said,
having
send
his-
it. Just
yeah,
send
just
it.
Send it. Just do it. What are we talking about today, guys? We are talking about overcoming analysis paralysis and what it is. So let's dive into these. We got a great panel today, and we'll talk about how we've all probably overcome it, how it affects us. So how are we doing today, Thor?
Oh, man, I'm living the dream. Can't you tell? Fantastic, guys. Fantastic. Love the topic. Can't wait to dig into it.
And next up, we got Taro, Viking Paradigm. How you doing today, sir?
Doing pretty good. Hope you're doing well as well.
I am. Nuke, long time, man. I miss you. How you doing, buddy? I thought you were knocking on my door the other day. You weren't.
Oh, no. I was dancing all night, so I feel a little crusty today. So please excuse me. But I'm doing good, man. Just working a lot. And finally got time to be on the Dragonship, so it's a good day.
That's fantastic.
All right. And out of Vegas, Mike Steele.
It's hot.
I know you are, baby.
Wrong, my brother.
And up next, we got out of Philly, the Hudsman.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? As I was saying to you yesterday, AJ, I love this. I love the Dragonship every week. It's like how people have like a hobby of going golfing with the boys every weekend. I love just coming here and chopping it up with you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Looking forward to this
Yes,
one.
And of course, my favorite Frenchman, Laurent.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm sorry if I'm a bit absent or if I feel a bit like it's 2 a.m. I slept 1 hour. I feel a bit absent-minded. Like I could do a presidential debate.
Oh my God! You guys see that?
Nothing for my French Viking. Do that standing on your head.
Sacre bleu.
Hey, guys, I do have a little bit of update I didn't tell you guys. All of you guys are all good workout guys, and you know what's happened to me. I haven't been able to work out. But in the last 2 weeks, as I prep for another cycle of chemotherapy, I have gone to the inability to do a single pull-up or a single push-up or a single squat to now I can do a 50 squats freestanding, and I was able to do 4 sets of 5 pull-ups, 5 reps each, full body weight. So that's pretty good. And I can do 25 push-ups as well, all body weight stuff, trying to regain strength. So the goals were achieved. I am enjoying right now some of the most intense delayed muscle soreness I've ever felt. And this is from baby exercises. Nothing like being immobile for 4 months, basically. It's a pretty strange sensation. If you've been away from the muscle soreness when you work out, it's not discouraging, but you do feel slightly sick. You know, it's like you have the flu. So it's an enjoyable experience, shall I say.
And hey,
Oh,
we
it's
can
good
talk
progress.
about
Happy to
working
hear it.
out.
Yeah.
Like part of like people working out, like everyone's like, oh, I need to go to the gym. I need to go to the gym. I need to go to the gym. And then they never do. And then once they finally get there, like, this freaking hurts so bad.
Yep.
But it hurts so good.
Like, you
I
get
had a
used to it after a
training
while.
client once, and he was so out of shape when we did rope pull downs for triceps. He started shaking. He says, "I think working out's giving me nerve damage," because at the end of his reps, he was shaking because he was so weak. You know, you get the tremors
Yeah.
when you're really weak. You start tremoring.
Yeah, that's not nerve damage.
No, of course it wasn't. We had to explain what was going on, but he had convinced himself it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just pussy ass thinking.
Well, we fixed him up. He quit later on when he really did get injured, but and it's
So-
usually when you start doing really good and you start getting that confidence and you push a little too far.
So
Yeah.
AJ, what was with that Shia LaBeouf intro today? That was out of the ordinary. What do we got going on today?
Well, we're talking about overcoming analysis paralysis. And it's like where you have the knowledge of stuff, but yet you still freeze. Sometimes it's anxiety driven, sometimes it's trauma driven. But if you've been in the space for a while, are we past the 8-minute mark? I want to say the word so bad, but I can't say the word until the 8-minute mark. Like when it comes to our space, the red pill community, they do a lot of red pill M word. I can't say that until after the 8-minute mark.
Red pill self-pleasuring.
Yes, red pill self-pleasuring, and they don't actually get any actual like actions taken. And I think that also will lead down to a road of, like, we can talk about later, darker road of like the black pill MGTOW communities. So I had like 3 places that we could, or points that we could talk about on it. And like starting with the first one was the illusion of knowledge. How about we discuss how consuming information can create a false sense of accomplishment and understanding, leading individuals to believe that they are improving without actually making tangible changes in their lives.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to jump in on this right now, AJ. Sorry,
Go for it,
everyone,
man.
but I've been kind of quiet the past few weeks. That is over. Guys, AJ's absolutely right. One of the problems that happens is, and Paul talks about it in his book, and I believe, Thor, you touched on it, and of course it's in Corey Wayne's book, How to Be a 3% Man. The fact that talking about that you're going to accomplish something or you're going to start something actually fires off the same chemicals in your brain as actually doing or accomplishing the thing. And so that's how a lot of people, you'll find them talking a big game like, oh, I'm going to get rich quick, or oh, I'm going to get jacked, or oh, I'm going to get so many chicks, but they're still living in mama's basement. And then on top of that, you've got, again, these RP aware guys living in mama's basement. Well, if you're RP aware, why aren't you jacked? Because wouldn't you want to be the best version of yourself? And the best version of yourself isn't sitting around eating Cheetos and making $8 an hour at McDonald's.
Hey man, the juice ain't worth the squeeze.
Who says that you got to go out there and be squeezing these other chicks, huh? Maybe we're at the 8-minute mark. Maybe you squeeze yourself. And what I mean by that is, if you are your own mental point of origin, and you're not red pill masturbating all the time, the whole point is, by becoming your own mental point of origin, you accomplish these things because it's what's good for you. The whole point is that we don't learn what we learn and know what we know and do what we do to get the girls. We do it because, okay, this is what I want, and if I don't get all these other things, that's fine. I still want to make bank. I want to be jacked. I want a big house. I want a fast car and a motorcycle and a hot tub. And if I get chicks, great. If I don't, still got my house and my money and my hot tub and all of that. If you're out here doing it to get the girls, then you're not your own mental point of origin yet.
Bingo.
That's the point.
Let's explore why guys have a hard time making themselves their own point of origin and all that stuff. So so it's in order to understand these guys that even ourselves, because we're not perfect. We kind of do or say dumb things, right? I think never underestimate how much a guy does not want to let down people in his life by changing his behavior. Meaning, hey, Dad, I want to move to this city.
What? This camera just freeze?
It's
Yeah.
all right. He'll come back here in just a minute.
There he's back.
He's back.
Wait, sorry, something's wrong with my internet.
That one big man.
Hey mom, I want to do this. Hey dad, I want to do that, right? And a lot of guys, they're stuck in like relationships or in these things where there's consequences for them. There's real consequences, right, for them doing certain things that they want to do, right? Imagine your parents are doctors or engineers and you want to make YouTube videos, right? Imagine that you really like a girl, but you like her parents like you, and everyone wants you to get married, but you say, hey, I just want to play the field. That's tough. That's not easy. It will never be easy, and that takes a lot of it's something that I would say, like, AJ, your first job out of the military, right? I'm sure you quit it. I'm sure you quit. Was it as easy to quit a job right after the military? It's tough, right?
Yes and no. I was fed up with that place when I left it anyways, but
it took it took a lot of shit for you to leave. It wasn't just like, this isn't working for me. Like you had that's because
for 2 years.
That's because the military teaches us about like fidelity and being, seeing it through and embracing the suck. And that's how men are. We're trained to embrace the suck, and maybe things get better, right? Because that's like how Mother Nature is, right? Oh, a hurricane's coming. Let's build these walls and get the children and women safe because it's gonna end, right? But sometimes you have to realize it's never gonna end. You'll never be satisfied with that relationship. You'll never be satisfied listening to your parents, right? And that's why it takes guys so long to leave bad friendships. Like, have you guys heard of guys that I was watching a Reddit video the other day where this guy was like, the topic was, hey guys, when did you realize that your childhood best friend was a piece of shit, right? Guys, 17 years, 12 years, 10 years, and they just couldn't see that the guy that they grew up with was a sack of shit, right? And that's because men, we just hang, and we get a lot of shit for not hanging in there. So for you guys that are struggling with that, realize that it just comes with the territory. Your own parents may even disown you or just make your life miserable for a couple years until they realize, oh, this guy's serious. So,
ain't that the truth? I feel like with my parents, my relationship with them, when I had to move back home, there were lots of fights, and I stood by my ground, and it took a while, but then there was like an immediate shift that happened one day, and then ever since, like, my dad started like finally like seriously respecting me as another adult. So that's a good point, Nuke. The one piece that I want to say on analysis paralysis, and I deal with it a lot with the guys that I work with. When you think of like you always get like once they start to get success with women or success on like dating apps, it's the constant, okay, what do I say next? How do I handle this situation? And they have all the information. They've been watching all the information. They've been asking for all the information, but they're too scared to actually say something or make a move. And it's like, dude, just do it.
Because they don't want to lose the girl.
Draw 2 circles connected, and then finish the fucking owl.
Yeah, like seriously, they don't want to mess it up, so they don't do anything, and then enough time passes that the girl moves on. And it's like, dude, what are we doing here? And that's why it's important. Like when you listen to information like this on the Dragonship or anything else in the space, you need to do something with it. And it doesn't matter if you get blown out. It doesn't matter if you get muscle soreness from the gym and it's rough, but you at least did it. You took the first step. And if you don't take those steps, you're never going to improve. And then you become one of those people, keyboard warriors, like in the thumbnail here, where you're just sitting back, listening to Jesus Paul and drinking your White Claws and not getting anything done.
You're gonna
touch. Oh,
and
go ahead, Nuke.
The thing is, you're gonna get screenshotted and put in a female's group chat. So what? It's gonna happen. I got screenshotted and put it on Are We Dating the Same Guy Dallas, and it's been there for 3 years.
But that's a flex.
We need to put that thumbnail up for a second.
It is a flex, right? But at the same time, actions have consequences, right? I pissed off a girl. I went about it in a stupid way, and I have a job. I have a nice life, right? I have family members. We don't know what people are willing to do because you ghosted a girl and you posted about it on Twitter. That was incredibly stupid of me, right? It is a flex in that the girls were like, oh, I like toxic men. I'll check them out myself, right? That is kind of a flex, but at the same time, there are ways to do things, and you need to be careful. And sometimes send it is good, but sometimes send it is bad. There's a thin line. Sometimes there really is a thin line.
Well, wait,
if you don't,
there's
if you
a
don't want it on the
difference between-
jumbotron, then don't send it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Nuke. There is a distinction between send it and post it.
But you will be posted. I didn't post anything like once you
okay.
do, it doesn't matter about posting stupid, right? Jumbotron rule. The issue is you're always on the hook when you deal with women, when you
Right.
deal with employers, when you deal with. There is a girl that I interact with on Twitter. She posted about men should be allowed in Pilates class. Women, why are you so against men working out with you? Her old employer, she posted about it. Her old employer reached out to her. She's a software programmer and said, "Hey, please remove our logo on your LinkedIn profile. We don't want to be associated with you." One tweet. That means she can never go back to work, and she probably has a reputation now with it because it's a very tight knit community. So you got to be careful, right? Because you're always on the hook for everything you post. You just do your due diligence, do the best you can. Someone will dox you at some point. They did it to Rolo. They did it to Troy yesterday. Someone doxed Troy Francis yesterday.
Yeah.
Really?
His girlfriend, right? Yeah, yesterday. And the guy was one of my followers. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this guy agrees with me. He's like my reply guy, but he doxed Troy. Like, what the fuck's wrong with these people, right? So you just got to be careful. Having a normal life is going to become harder. You have to do your due diligence. Watch your ass. If you need to like talk to a lawyer or an experienced content creator or someone that just is good at, never gets in trouble, and talk to those people, because there are psychopaths out there that don't give a fuck. They just don't care.
So can I comment on this analysis paralysis?
Yes.
I love what Nuke is saying about all that stuff. You have to be cautious. A lot of bear traps out there for sure. This analysis paralysis that plagues red pill guys, when you first learn about the red pill, or let's just say the first year, one of the biggest problems with red pill, it's the truth, and the truth is uncomfortable. And it is difficult to actualize in your life if you've been conditioned for many, many years. So it's uncomfortable. And so we do something, I think everybody here has called it before. It's very popular. A lot of the OGs called it red pill masturbation, where you're consuming red pill content wherever it's at to kind of ego protect yourself. I'm red pill, therefore I don't have to take these actions because I have the knowledge. There's the perfect word for it in the dictionary. It's really old. Laurent might be the only one that knows this word, having studied English, and that's to perseverate. Do you guys know what that means?
Oh, yes.
Yes. So it's to do the same things over and over again with no appreciable results. It's called perseveration. And a lot of red pill guys do that because some of these truths are very uncomfortable. Let's just take one, for example. Men and women love each other differently, and they're not capable of the love that the other thinks they should be. The example is that men love idealistically. If you love idealistically, you've been trained that way, that would be brutal to get rid of, to think that these creatures that you've idolized all along can't love you in that fashion that you've idolized. And so you keep consuming this information. The Christians do this all the time. They consume the red pill stuff because there's a lot of alignment there, but then they start looking for reasons why they can insert their own moral judgments in there and call it red pill. It works together. It doesn't, but that's what they like to do, and that's perseveration. They do it over and over and over again, hoping that square peg will somehow fit into the round hole and not acknowledge the truth. What do you guys say about that? Are we a community that gets stuck perseverating about the actions to take once we know? I mean, that's kind of analysis paralysis. And I have recommendations for that is, guys, limit your options when you're learning about the red pill. Just focus on mental point of origin, or understand if you're out there dating, just pick one or two of the 9 rules until you're really comfortable with it and you're not questioning it. That would be my suggestion on analysis paralysis when it comes to this red pill space. And one of the biggest problems when you do learn about this stuff initially is you want to go broadcast it to everybody. And for some reason, we all want to red pill a woman. Why do we do that? I mean, it's like the dumbest thing in the world to do. And we all seem to burn ourselves and find out the hard way that you can't red pill women.
No. One of the things that helped me, going back to like just send it, is, guys, the knowledge was useless until I stopped caring about sex. I would be texting a gal, and it didn't matter if I had 5 gals on my phone or 1. If I cared about the sex, that's where the analysis paralysis kicked in. Like, oh, but I don't want to lose the sex.
Yep.
Though, as soon as I stopped caring about the sex, I'm just like, I got other shit to do. Like, I got a job now. I have to run a whole damn casino, you know. So it's just like, whatever. Just like, put on a thong and bring me, a Firehouse sub, ham and cheese. Do it. Click. Hit send. And if she doesn't do it, oh well. I'll just go to work or I'll do something else. If she does, great. I get a sandwich and I get some box. The moment I stopped caring is the moment things started to improve.
So I like what you just said, Mike, because it brings us to that point where this analysis paralysis, I actually think that learning the red pill and being a red pill masturbator is because your knowledge with the red pill has opened up too many options. And what we fail to recognize is now we get to the spot where we're having the paradox of choice because there's too many options. And when there's too many options, you may not be having analysis paralysis, but you literally can't decide which one you need to take action on because there's too many. This is a human condition. When there's too many choices, you can be famous and still run into this analysis paralysis, and it can destroy your life because you can't make the right decisions because there's too much. What do you think about that?
Well, I identify with that a lot because somebody that's naturally talented at almost anything I fucking do, right? It's very difficult for me not to be arrogant and overconfident, for one. And it's also very difficult for me to settle on something, right? If you're good at everything you do, think about that for a second. If you're good at everything you've ever tried to do,
Then
right?
you got Dunning-Kruger.
What am I going to? Well, that's the thing. I don't start out good, but the thing is, I master things very quickly because I want to win. I wasn't allowed to fail as a child. When I'd worked with my dad and my grandpa, I wasn't allowed to give up. I had to do it until I did it right. It didn't matter how long it took. And I was going to get a lecture the entire time I was doing it, which would make it harder for me to focus if I was getting in my feelings. So I was trained at a very young age to just persevere, be focused on the task at hand, and master it very quickly. This led me to a very useful skill of acquiring other skills. But as I got older, this led to analysis paralysis because, like you said, Thor, I had too many fucking options and I didn't have a plan. This is where a lot of the wisdom that Wraith provides to the community is extremely good because his information about how to construct a life plan, decide what your goals are, right? Your dreams, to turn them into goals, you got to be like, okay, so this is what I would really like to do. Now, reverse engineer the steps it's going to take me to reach that in theory, right? And obviously your new information is going to change the plan. That's why you have a flexible framework where you can swap things out as new information clarifies the steps needed to be taken, right? So you obviously aren't going to have a clear line of sight to the end goal right away. But the idea is that by developing those mental steps and then just doing it, you're able to get from one stepping stone to the next, to the next, to the next. And then you're no longer suffering from analysis paralysis because you actually got a plan that you decided to adhere to. That's where I think a lot of guys get fucked up in the RP space, is because even as a blue pill guy back in the day, that was what fucked me up. And you see this in colleges too, right? A lot of my grandfather called PhDs the pinhead division, because they know all these book smarts, but when it came to actually doing shit in the real world, they'd be clueless as fuck. They wouldn't be able to put anything to action, and everything they did was so weighted down by the college literature that they couldn't adapt to real world conditions, and they would lose over and over because of it. They would fail at tasks because they couldn't adapt to the fact that a motor doesn't work this way in this altitude in the real world. You know, and because they didn't think to, I need to actually check the altitude, right, for the oxygen exchange and shit like that. Like, that's going to change factors on how this internal combustion engine works, right? They were still in the mindset of, I'm at this altitude, and they forgot or didn't read the part that they had to adjust for elevation and shit like that, right? And so they'd be trying to get like very nuanced results, but without the adequate information being enacted on in order to get them. And like I said, you see that all the time in the red pill space. Guys will sit there and they will learn things to prevent from having to do things. It's a coping strategy.
I've seen that happen as well with I was chatting with a very well-educated person one time about simple things like traffic. Traffic in a city, and yes, I have a point with this. Traffic in the city and the way America's highways are built and stuff like that. And the person was like, well, why don't we just do what the Germans do? Make the roads really wide and make them, 4 feet deep and raise the speed limits and all that and just be like Germany and everything would be fine. And because they lived in Germany, and I informed them I lived in Germany too. I said, okay, how many miles of highway are in Germany and how many miles of highway are in the United States? And then I started asking them questions about the cost of redoing all the highway. They hadn't even comprehend the fact that if you make the highway 4 feet deep and 50% wider, that's going to cost more money than exists in the entire U.S. economy to redo them all. Germany can do what it does because it's small, and that hadn't gone through their head.
Yep.
Laurent, you've been quiet, and I know you wanted to be on this episode and talk about this, so floor is all yours, my friend.
When during the French Revolution, there was a prison called Bastille in French. The Bastille Day, you've probably heard of Bastille Day. And in there, they imprisoned nobility forever. And what happened is one day they came and they unshackled people who've been embastilled for a long period of time. And all of a sudden they were free. And what happened, and people were puzzled, they couldn't understand it. It's the origin of the paradox of choice, by the way. Is they freed these guys, and all of a sudden they had all these opportunities. But they literally grew up in prison, so they didn't know what to do. So some of them even went back because they couldn't sleep without the noise of their shackles rattling.
Oh, wow.
We want to be in prison. We want to be in our comfort zone. So when you have all this red pill, analysis paralysis is totally normal because you have this freedom. You have all these options. Where am I going now? What am I going to do? And we want to remain in our comfort zone. So this is why this analysis paralysis is perfectly normal. It's a phase. Now you need to outgrow this. You need to give yourself a direction and take a small step. But one step at a time.
And we see this today, don't we, guys, with basically career criminals who they keep reoffending just so they can go back to jail because it's comfortable. It's all they've known.
Yeah, that's really what the red pill is, right? Like the whole matrix.
We have a bunch of.
It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to then see the whole world for what it is. The world becomes your playground, and you don't know how to handle it. I think that's a perfect analogy, Laurent, of like a Bastille. Like it's really interesting.
Well, it's that's the perception, right? A lot of guys they take the red pill and then they think they can control the universe. Like now, I am become red pill destroyer of OF thoughts or whatever, right? And and one of the things you have to realize about this red pill stuff is that it's not about women.
Oh.
It's about you, right?
Never was.
Guess what? There's people that are terrible people that are going to live really comfortable, satisfying lives. They're going to get away with everything. So what are you going to do, right? The only thing you got to do is win yourself. That's all you can do, right? Do the best you can. And then another reason guys have trouble executing, right, their action plan or they're fixing their problem is that they're afraid of the consequences. Even if the consequences aren't really that bad, right? How hard is it for a guy to tell a woman no? It's really hard if she has the kids, if she has the ring, right? That's not easy, right? But if you don't have boundaries, you're gonna be very miserable in your all relationships in your life, right? So it's the consequences that they imagine, right? Because they say, well, if I say this, my wife's going to take the kids, all right? Or if I say this, my friend's going to, or my employer is going to fire me if I say this, and then you realize like, hey, a lot of the times it's not, they won't do any, they'll be shocked. There's going to be a little churn, right? But you know, a lot of the times we imagine things that aren't real, like people doing things to us because we simply are changing our boundaries, right? And another thing too is that realize that human beings, we like patterns, right? So if you're a red pill, if you're getting red pilled, and now you know, hey, I can't give women things and or expect them to like me for me. Like that's not how that works, right? And then you have a girlfriend or a wife that you spoil all the time with stuff, trips and stuff like that. You say, hey, we're not doing this anymore. I'm not giving you free shit. Like I'm not giving you shit. We're not doing $200 Amazon hauls every month anymore. We're saving that money for our next kid or for our house or for whatever. She's going to wonder what the fuck happened. She's going to shit test you. She's going to give you a hard time until she's absolutely convinced that you're a new guy. So,
I actually lived that.
Yeah, and you have to divorce your wife. First off, you got to divorce your wife or your girlfriend in your mind. You have to be like, she's gone. Like, because the thing is now it's a new relationship. It's completely new. You're not the same person. She's not going to be the same person because she's reacting to this new person. You are a captain who is sobering up, and she's the first mate who has anxiety because she didn't know where the ship was going. So now here you are telling her no, and here you are absolutely terrified because you're sobering up. You're not drunk right anymore. You're sobering up, and you're like, oh shit, I'm in charge now. My first mate she's slowly begrudgingly giving me more power, and then you gotta look at her and realize, hey, I'm completely sober. I fixed my life. Are you still with me? And she's like, no, I know the real you. And you're just like, okay, well, I got to fire you as my first mate because it's just too far gone. Or maybe she's like, hey, I'm on board. Like you seem to know what the fuck you're doing now. And it sucks as a guy. It's not easy. Like it's not to convince people. And this happens with friends and family, your parents, your friends, all of them will see you start executing like aggressively and they'll want to stop you. They'll be like, hold on, this guy's crazy. Like you're moving to the city, you're getting a new job and you're dating this person, you're doing this. Like he's out of control. And you're just like, no, he's not out of control. He just started executing, and
he can't be contained.
That's like that moment. I would say like what you're talking about with like when you say put like your foot down and the whole no thing. When I lived that, that's when my whole entire life I actually think changed.
It's terrifying. It's the scariest thing ever.
Yeah,
and that's why Paul and I talked about that a couple months ago. The mindset of the moment you turn 18 and graduate high school, pretend your parents are dead.
Yeah.
Up here, they're dead. So what would you do if they actually were? How would you live your life if your parents died on your 18th birthday? Whatever that answer is, as long as it's not illegal, do it.
You had your hand up, Laurent?
I think I'm the OG of passport bros. I left home when I was 17, and I never looked back.
You went across 2 freaking continents too.
He went as far as possible almost.
He's not a passport bro. He did it so early. He's a passport father.
Passport Papa.
Passport Papa. Thank you, Thor.
Passport Godfather. Actually, I have 2 passports. And one thing that is important to understand is that when you leave your house to go across the world, the hardest part is not to go to like 22,000 kilometers away to France or elsewhere. The longest part of the journey, the hardest part of the journey is when you close your door for the last time and go to the airport. After that, everything's new.
Yep. When I left from the military, my mom was crying. I was closing the gate. My recruiter was going to take me to the hotel. My mom was crying. I'm like, this is it. This should have happened a long time ago, but I'm terrified and my mom's crying. I don't know what's going on, but fuck it. Send it. Let's go.
Were you like, I'm a man?
No, I was terrified.
Okay, same thing with me, man.
Fair enough.
Exact same response was going on.
I had a crying woman, the woman I love the most, my mother, and I was like, I'm about to exit her life. Her baby is leaving forever, and she was crying. I'm like, oh, what do you do as a man? You know, like, hey mom, I'm scared too, but I'll be back. I promise. I'll see you at Christmas.
Yeah,
exactly. Being brave doesn't mean that you lack fear. It means that you're overriding your fear and your hesitation to achieve a result. And you know that if you hesitate, the consequences will be far worse than if you had actually just gone for it. It's like when you're going to jump off of something and, say jump off a rock into a pond or something like that. If you trip or stop or stutter at right before you jump, like you're gonna fall and probably hit your head on the fucking rock you're trying to jump off of, right? As a man, you should know that, like, in terms of like physically obtaining a goal, you have to take that risk and go for it, as you said, full send, right? I learned this doing mountain biking and BMX and stuff like that. If you hesitate on the ramp, you're gonna fucking crash. So you got to just go for it and land the fucking thing, or wipe out and roll with it if you have to, right? It may not be pretty either, but the idea is that you'll be further ahead. You'll have actually executed the action. You'll learn from your mistakes, and then you'll have, hopefully, if you were smart about it, prevented enough damage to where you can get up and try better, right? And that's where that, trying and using scientific method, trying a new action actually will pay off. And that's where a lot of guys will get stuck when they do manage to talk themselves into going and then they fail. Then they'll be like, well, that confirms it. I can't ever win. Let's go back to the drawing board. And then they're stuck back in analysis paralysis because they dipped their toe in the water and it burned a little bit, and they're it's just like, no, like, you're going to have to go in and you're going to have to deal with the adaptation. You're going to have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable and change your environment. Right. And that's difficult for a lot of guys because we want that safe bet. We want that sure thing. Right. Because we want to succeed. Right. That's the key thing. Guys are very focused on success. But the problem that most guys have nowadays is they're so comfortable, they aren't forced to jump out of the nest. Right. And just fly. Right. You either, birds at a certain point, their parents will damn near like fucking kick them out the nest, and they either hit the ground and die or they fucking fly. Right. And that's
too. Their brothers eat them alive if they're weak.
Yeah, that too. And that's a good analogy for how unfair the real world is. Like you said, there's people out there that don't deserve it, that'll live very happy, comfortable lives. Right. Oh, yeah. And there's plenty of good people out there that live miserable lives. Right. And there's a bunch of fucking people in between. But the key thing is like, what can you control? Right. Going back to what we were talking about before, is that the biggest problem that people have is they're so focused on holding others accountable. Once they learn the truth, they then fail to hold themselves accountable.
Oh, yeah.
You need to take on that personal accountability. When women say men are the problem, they're not wrong. They just can't articulate why, because then you'd actually be able to fix it. And they want you to just get it, as Rolo says. Right. Mm-hmm. They want you to know what you need to do to fix a problem and be a fucking leader. But most guys are just like, do I have to? Right. Do I have to do it? I don't want to do it that way. Right. And they get all whammy whammy fucking.
All the girls at the gym
pussyfooting
will laugh at me.
Yeah, they're all worried about the most extreme, exaggerated of what could go wrong. It's like, well, even if it does, what are you going to do about it? That's the thing. Like, if you're going to be a coward, you're going to live a coward's life, which is far more pain than what you would experience from the injuries of actually getting out there and doing something, right? Like the example Thor gave before with the guy that got the shakes because his muscles and his nervous system hadn't been pushed to the limit enough to be able to handle that kind of activity. Right. And that's something that most men that do physical activity in sports understand inherently, that in order to achieve a new level, you have to push past the current one. Right. And that's where that guy, what did he do? He manufactured an excuse. Oh, I think my nervous system is fucking up. No, your nervous system is freaking out because it's never been pushed that hard before. And it's going like, oh, this actually, like, holy shit, like I could actually do this. Navy SEAL 40% rule. When you think you've given your all, you've only actually given 40% of what you can give as a human being. Never forget that.
And guys, one of the things that helped me with everything in life, remember earlier I mentioned I started getting better with women the moment I stopped caring about sex, and then I just said to the women what I wanted to say in my gut, and I stopped caring. Things improved. My life improved when I realized this one important thing. It doesn't matter what you do in life. It doesn't matter if you turn left, right, go straight, or do a 180 and turn around. 50% of the world will hate your guts. So, if 50% of the world will always hate your guts, no matter what you do, you may as well do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. Now,
and that's rookie numbers.
Now, a question for you guys. Is every decision have the same weight?
No.
Right? Can we just take the AK-47 and fire it in all directions, or do we concentrate fire on certain decisions and maybe aim down the sight for others?
Yes.
That's the key thing is see what I said before. Guys are so fixated on the wrong things. They're fixated on imaginary outcomes. They're fixated on a negative outcome. They're fixated on all these negative things, and they haven't changed their focus to what matters.
Yeah. Laurent, you said you had something.
So
you're muted.
Jeff is also the great answer for that. So they are. You will make decisions no matter what. Some of these decisions are irreversible, and some of them can change. Example: you move country, well, it's going to be pretty irreversible. Or you get married, it will have long-term consequences. You can't unwind and okay, let's rinse, repeat, and so on and so forth. So the idea there is when things can be reversed quickly, when they don't have long-term consequences, do shit like get it done, get it done, get it done, get it done. On the other hand, when those are long-term consequences, having a child, that's a big one, for example. I mean, you can't put it back in the oven.
Well,
You just painted such a weird image in my head.
Well, see, and that goes back to another concept I talked about looking for guys in my social group that are outcome independent, right? Because that outcome dependence is what's going to distort your perception in almost all these endeavors because you're focused on the wrong things. You're focused on failure rather than success and trying to do better if you do fail, right? And that's, like I said, that's where that personal accountability comes in is what is your perception? Right? Are you focused on crunching the numbers and doing all this stuff? That's why I have the equation learn plus adapt equals win. And it's in that order. You have to learn first, then adapt, take an action. And that's what's going to get you the win. If you don't do that equation correctly, you're going to lose. And if you're either going to wallow in self-pity over it, or you're going to figure out what you did wrong in the original equation and correct it. Right? That's what a logical mindset would do. An emotional mindset will sit there and focus on pain, uncomfortability, inconvenience as being something that's going to prevent you from doing anything. And like I said, if you're comfortable enough, it's very easy to live a coward's life these days.
Yeah, AJ, question for you. And this is the reason I bring it up, right? So, for context, guys, me and AJ were reactor operators for the Navy, and every decision was extremely. I wrote a 0 instead of a 1 on a 20-page on a pre-critical checkout, which certifies a reactor to start up safely.
I got it.
20 pages. I wrote somebody discovered 1 0 instead of it was supposed to be a 1 and it was a 0. I got my license removed for a long time, right? Because of that. And nukes, we're kind of taught that everything we do has serious consequences for everyone, right? It's kind of that programming. AJ, reactor fill, right? We got 10 seconds, and those 10 seconds is the decision we have to make to drown a reactor in case it completely starts melting down, right? And that can change your trajectory in your career as a nuke, and maybe after the Navy, and certainly the deployment, and certainly the next couple of weeks, right? Making the wrong decision can ruin or strengthen your career in those 10 seconds, right? So, in order to be for when you have those split decisions, right? Whether it be you're with a girl and a guy tries to fight you, right? That's a decision where just throwing a punch can ruin your life forever. Ask John Fitch, right? Or you're deciding to get divorced or something like that, which decisions that take longer. Realize that the best thing you can do, and it's not a guarantee, right, is to prepare beforehand and weigh the options in case you're ever prepared or ever face that situation. That's why John Fitch says, hey, learn to fight and learn to mind your surroundings in case one day you're walking with your girl from a club, from an event, from anywhere, and a guy says or does something to your woman, and now you love her, so you have to defend her. So what do you do, right? Always have it in the back of your mind as a man, because you don't know when it's going to happen, and you have to be very careful, right? Life presents us reactor fill situations all the time. We just don't think it'll ever happen to us, but it can always happen. And always maintain your cool and realize that sometimes you're not going to make the right decision. It's over. Like, you fucked up, and now you got to deal with it, and you got to forgive yourself because simply it's unfair. Like, you got pushed in the corner, you had to do something. But at the same time, give it a little bit of thought if you're ever in one of those situations. Identify them. It could be anything, anywhere.
I did the same thing on a calmetric paperwork, and we ended up, it was like the 5th or 6th significant digit I mistranscribed, put reactor power off on one channel by like 4%. I'm like,
oh, dude, God damn it, man. Why'd you do that?
Fifth and
Fuck.
sixth significant digit.
Yeah, that's why nukes were so like kind of particular and kind of autistic with our shit, because even breathing on the run, but if I press a wrong button for 1 second too long or 2 seconds too long, I could stop a reactor in its tracks, right? So you have to kind of, it was very hard for me at least to unprogram from the consequences of shit. Like if I talk to this girl, nothing's gonna happen. Nobody cares. The worst she could say is no and move on with my life, right? So for you guys that are in those situations where you have careers or you have family situations where saying or doing the wrong thing could spell the end, right? Like maybe lawyers or doctors or surgeons or even power linemen like Thor. Like, you know, if you mess up messing with electricity, you're dead. That's it. There is no, or you're incapacitated for a long time. Trust me. I've seen it. And then you try to, it's hard to get out of that mindset and then leave that at work or leave that with your family and then go and have fun and enjoy life and talk to women because you're so used to consequences, right? So make sure you section things off and realize at work, I am dialed in. I am, razor focused. But when I'm at salsa night, when I'm at an event, when I'm hanging with my friends, yeah, I go talk to this group of girls. No big deal. Nothing's going to happen, So make sure you separate those.
Let's do a mid-roll ad because we're at 45 minutes right now. Yeah, let's go for that. Play Paul's course. He's not here today. He's taking care of something. He'll be back hopefully Monday, he said. So here we go.
Tired of complicated diets and time-consuming workouts? Does your busy schedule leave no room for the gym? You're not alone. Thousands of men struggle with the same problem. The frustration of not seeing results can be overwhelming. But what if I told you there's an easier way? Introducing the Basic Diet and Fitness Mini Course. Your no-nonsense guide to getting fit. Learn the only 4 exercises you need and master the secret of effortless weight loss with the calories in, calories out method. It's time to break free from the cycle of failure. Start your journey to a healthier, stronger you today. Sign up for the Basic Diet and Fitness Mini Course now, because every man deserves to feel confident and fit. Transform your life, one simple step at a time.
Visit fit.comeonmanpod.com and sign up today. No more excuses.
Man, that bowl of mustard looked good.
Freaking AI.
That was real, dude. That was stock footage.
Oh, what are you doing? Making like potato salad or something?
I know, but there were no fries in that bowl. I don't know what the hell he was
I know,
doing.
as far as I remember, mustard is low in calories though, so you could eat a bowl of mustard and it wouldn't really fuck up your calorie intake.
At that point, might as well just do hot sauce.
Yeah, let me look that up.
Are you guys ready for the best sound in the world?
Cup of mustard. Macros.
Caffeine.
All right, pretty decent macros for a cup of mustard.
So
what I'm saying.
Chicken. Mustard chicken, then it is.
Oh God.
But no, seriously, with Paul's course, like, damn, like I had no idea. Like I said it to him in the private chat back like this week or maybe it was last week, whenever he shared it. I didn't know he was that big before, and he completely turned around his life, and like that's like, damn, like for what he's offering, it's only like $27 for you to get like the condensed information. Because I was just like running the numbers in my head, and it's like if you're spending hours in the gym, you're spending hours researching what to do in the gym, you're spending hours researching how to handle your nutrition. Like he's got it all condensed right there for you. It's like the cheapest way to get a head start. So guys, definitely check it out.
Yeah. Where was I at? So we're kind of going over the overcoming analysis paralysis. One thing that I don't think any of us brought up was covert contracts. We kind of hinted around it a little bit, but I think that is one thing that does drive a lot of the analysis paralysis, because that they don't want to break that covert contract. If I do these things, I'm no longer a good boy.
Yeah, they do it to themselves, and they do it to others as well. You see a lot of these guys like raging on like Myron and Fresh when they make a mistake and stuff like that, and being like, "Oh, I thought you guys were the leader," right? And you see other guys like Slinging Mud saying, "Oh, I thought these guys were supposed to be the example. I thought this stuff would happen to Fresh. I thought that wasn't supposed to happen to you red pill guys." It's just like, we never said that. Like we help risk mitigate, right? That's the idea. Is like women are still going to be women. right? And you fuck over 1,000 chicks in Miami, eventually you're going to come across at least a couple of them probably selling box on the side you didn't know about.
And at the
But
end
a lot
of the
guys,
day,
a lot of guys get stuck on that inaccurate outcome expectation, right? Like I said, it's that outcome independence once again, where they create these delusional versions. They follow like the apex fallacy, right? That's what they'll try to hold a lot of guys in this space, even guys like us. They'll try to hold us to the apex fallacy of like, well, you're not perfect, therefore you're wrong. It's just like, no, that's a fallacy, right? The point is that you need to be aware of, how to manage your expectations, and covert contracts is the way that a lot of losers manage their expectations. They're like, oh, I'm going to hold you to an impossible standard, and then when you betray me, now you're the bad guy, and I don't have to listen to anything you say.
And I got to drag you online for clicks and views. And at the end of the day, what those guys failed to acknowledge is Fresh dodged a bullet, and he's still a millionaire, and they're not.
Yep.
Well, here's the other thing, guys.
Well, it's like,
I'll quote a
go
couple
ahead,
things.
Thor, give it to Thor.
Yeah. So guys get afraid of consequences of taking actions. I mean, I'll just quote from my book here. Action is everything needed for a man to become. Those are actions that you take. And somebody in the chat had mentioned, well, what has more consequences, taking actions or just waiting? Just waiting it, just waiting to see what happens. Both have consequences. And if you get this knowledge of the red pill space and you do take action, some of them are going to be, the consequences are going to be bad. You have to be willing to accept it and get comfortable with the uncomfortable. That will really propel you into success. And when we talk about analysis paralysis, I'll just read this other quote: is nothing works unless you do the work. Nothing. There's nothing there that you read. There's no content creator that you are going to watch that if you don't do the work, it won't happen to you. You can have all the knowledge in the world, unless you execute on it, it's not going to work. So you have analysis paralysis. How do you defeat that? Because you have all of this information, all these options, you don't know which way to take, and you're worried about consequences. This is the story that I read from my father. He said to me, how do you eat the elephant, son? This is why. This is how you can overcome analysis paralysis. I said, I don't know how to eat the elephant, father. There is so much to eat. You eat the elephant one bite at a time, son. Just don't start with the tail, okay? But father, why not start with the tail? Thor's father looks at him and says, because, son, the tail tastes like shit, and you will lose your appetite to finish the rest of the elephant and give up eating it. So I wanted to read that to you guys. That's really how you defeat analysis paralysis, is you're going to take it one bite at a time, and don't start with the shitty stuff, because you'll lose your appetite and quit and say none of it works. Anyways, that's what I wanted to add as far as analysis paralysis. There's so much here. And, definitely the covert contracts can get you stuck, like you'd mentioned before, with, oh, I don't know what to do. Is there expectations on me? Is there not? I think you guys are having a really good conversation here on that, because I think all of us do get a bit of analysis paralysis, and the content creators that we all admire and love, particularly the men's self-help space, in some ways they encourage analysis paralysis. Do you know why? It keeps you
there.
I was actually going to add to that, because on the topic of overcoming analysis paralysis, this is one of the things I had to do sometime last year, right? I'm in Fresh's CEO network, right? But they have weekly accountability meetings, but I haven't been able to attend, or I decided not to attend anymore. Why? Because I realized that by me going to those accountability meetings, talking about what I was going to do, was fulfilling that inner monologue that was making me feel like I already did it. And then I was not actually doing the things. And even though there's accountability there, it was becoming like a dog chasing its tail, right? Where I ended up talking about what I was going to be doing. And then when I'd experienced setbacks and I had to change things, and I get self-conscious, and then I'm in my own head too much and not actually effectively doing things. So I removed myself.
Subconscious mind doesn't know the difference whether you did it or not.
Yeah,
exactly. And me realizing that's why I stepped away from the accountability meetings, and you see what I've been doing now. Right, I've got my studio fully up and running, all tweaked and finished, and I've gotten where I'm on a weekly podcast now, thanks to you inviting me here, Thor, and a shout out to you guys for having me on. but I've been able to make a lot more steps one bite at a time, right? By just removing from that analysis paralysis cycle I had by going in my own head, filtering out all extra bullshit, not watching too many different voices, focusing in on what actually matters, and being able to get it done one step at a time. Right. So, in terms of overcoming analysis paralysis, all you got to do is come up with a solid plan, double check your work, and then start doing the plan. Right. Measure twice, cut once, as the trades always says. And if you do that over and over again for any given action, no matter from the micro to the macro, big or small, you're going to get results, but you can only do it through taking action. Yes, inaction can be an action as well. Patience does matter sometimes because this shit isn't going to happen overnight. I could draw myself into a tism, as Ryan would say, right? If I was going on and on about all the shit I hadn't been able to do, once again, focusing on the negatives rather than focusing on what I'd actually accomplished and pushing forward in the direction I'd gained ground in, right? That's the key thing, is by maintaining that positive focus, right? I'm able to overcome a lot more things because I'm coming at it from a can-do attitude rather than a distracted can't-do attitude.
Like that. One other aspect I want to just throw. Before we toss it, to Laurent, the last thing I want to say on the elephant story, you also have to think of it from start to finish, right? So if you're not starting at the tail, you're not starting at the end. It's kind of what we were talking about last week with everything is built in pieces. And so a lot of times guys want to skip steps as they're going along, and you just can't do that. And so that's why with that story, it's starting at the front. It's at the start, not at the end. You don't start at the end. You don't skip steps. And yeah, that's all I want to say. Go ahead, Laurent.
One of the reasons of fear of analysis paralysis is a fear of rejection. Why is fear of deep down is fear of rejection, the thing that I am not good enough. And in ancient times, I'm not good enough. It means if my ass is stranded on the savannah alone, there's going to be a big cat that's going to have me for lunch, and it's a bad time to have a diarrhea when you try to outrun a big cat. So that's one. So second thing is that is important about analysis paralysis is writing your goals down. Now, there's a very interesting. This is a survey that was done twice. Once by Yale in 1950 in the 50s, and one by Stanford in the 70s. They just measured the people out of the law faculty, the people who wrote their goals down, how much they achieved 10 years down the road versus the people who just had this in their mind. And it's top Ivy League schools, so this is the elite of the elite. And what they realized is that people who wrote their goals down, whatever they were on average 30% richer, 30% better off, and 30% more accomplished than the people who had just those swirling around their heads. So it's important that actually where do I put? I'm going to put all this together. Is actually analysis paralysis is because you're redefining your identity, and within your identity, there's this fear of rejection, which is a core fear that we have. We can't get rid of it. So within that, when you start writing a plan, and you start, as to echo what Thor was saying before, plan the execution, execute the plan. That's it. But one step at a time, and write it down. That's what I had to say.
That's fantastic, and that ties into what Julian's saying right here. In my opinion, many guys would like to solve all of their problems and issues all at once. And when that becomes impossible to do, they'll become discouraged and pessimistic, then completely throw in the towel. That's the truth.
They give up. And that's the problem that most guys have, is that they give up. They don't put themselves in a good direction or understand what the consequences are going to be. And once again, it's like G.I. Joe says, knowing is half the battle, right? If you know what you're getting into, that's why Fresh and Fit doesn't worry about the outcomes. They're just like, well, here's the information we have. Here's what we think about it. Take it or leave it. It's up to you, right? We know that this shit works. And if you don't agree, we can agree to disagree, but it's not going to change the fact that this information is valid, right? We verified it in real world testing. So you can sit there and try and gaslight us all you want, but just take it or leave it, right? A lot of guys won't actually apply themselves. Like they just, like I said, they just won't focus on what will actually get them success. And then they wonder why they're not successful. It's because you're focusing on lack of success. Your life becomes your focus. What you dedicate yourself to, you will become.
All right.
Tarl, I love when you get just hyped up. I really do.
And guys, thing about this is I've known Tarl for quite a while. Now Tarl, were you at the first CME in Las Vegas in 2021?
No, I wasn't able to go into CME 3.
Okay, but
last year.
No, were you at the first one in 2021?
No. The only CME I've been to is the one last year.
Okay, the CME 3. Okay. But guys, here's the thing. During like CME 3, I remember Tarl, like, because I was helping out with the conference and everything, and he would sit and intensely focus on every speaker that was speaking. Not just the red meat sizzle ones like Phil Foster or Troy Francis, but the deeper ones too, like Hotep Jesus and Kevin Savo. And he would intently focus, and he would not move. He was like a statue glued to that speaker and taking in everything they were saying, because he was taking in all that ammo, and then he distilled it down into what he is today. So everybody thinks Tarl's like this all the time. No, when he's listening, he listens, and he's actually very quiet. Now, because he's leveled up, in my opinion, now he gets to go on his rants, and I love him for it.
Question for you guys. When you guys are about to make a decision, something important or something high consequence, or maybe it seems high consequence, do you think you're always ready to make a decision, or do you think maybe you have to wait, or maybe get a good night's rest, go for a walk, like the philosophers used to say, get someone who doesn't know you that well's perspective, get someone that does know you well's perspective? Like what goes into you guys' last minute decision or decision making process? Let's say for something as big as, like, let's say quitting your job and getting a new job or something like that.
So
time and distance is always good, and I always end up with better decisions when I can put time and distance between the point I realize I have to make a decision and then when I actually do take those actions. Now, that's not to say that you don't get in situations where immediate actions must be taken, right, wrong, or indifferent. Those are actually rather rare. So, you got one of your buddies that gets online, says some shit, you misinterpret it, you want to take a decision. That asshole, I need to go and make a response video and this and that and that and this. And then you wait a little bit and you kind of just let the dust settle and you take a deep breath, and then you realize, oh, it's not what I thought it was. There's a lot of decisions that we make. If we make it in a haste, the consequences can be worse. So there's almost always time and distance you can put in front of that decision. Always, almost always, unless it's, I got to take this action right now, or the nuclear rods are going to get stuck and we're going to get a critical path. There are decisions like that, but
we have a procedure for that. Yeah.
What's that?
We have a procedure for that.
Right. And so you're going to develop procedures in your own life, like eating the elephant, which is a procedure to get you down the path and making right decisions. But yeah, always putting time and distance between the point you realize you have to make a decision and when you actually take those actions, I always think is much better. You get a clearer head, you get more understanding, you can do research. And half of the things we think people do to us is that we make decisions, or that they're actually doing it on purpose. They have no idea that they're taking actions. Even people you work for, oh, they're doing this to me and that to me. They don't even think of it like that. And so you can take actions and you can make decisions based on the assumption that you make that they're doing this on purpose to you, and that's not the case at all. And that could lead you to making bad decisions or no decisions at all. So yeah, I would say the best approach is to always put time and distance between when you realize you have to make a decision and take an action until you actually execute.
Yeah, that was going to be my first question. I was going to follow up. Well, how much time do I have? Because I am very good at making very quick decisions in emergency situations. I've always been told I'd be a great first responder because of my ability to react mindfully in any given situation. achieve good results, and this includes house fires and shit like that. But I'll digress if I go on that tangent. But like Thor said, I agree with him 1,000%. Is that anytime you can take more time to make a decision and get through those emotional, logical processes chemically in the body and the mind, you're able to make a much better decision, especially if you're able to sleep on it. My grandfather used to always tell me, son, if you have a problem, think deeply and thoroughly and almost meditate on it before bed, but then sleep peacefully and soundly and think about the problem. In the morning, you'll be surprised at how often you have a solution. I used to use this method to fucking basically come up with insane Yu-Gi-Oh decks back in the day, like little shit like that.
Yeah, that's
Right?
basically
But-
that's the mind that yeah.
Yeah, I apply the same sort of cognitive understanding to regular problem solving as well. The more time, like Thor said, you can put in between for making that decision, as long as you're not, say, taking more than like a day or two, right? I'd say a day or two if you want like a good operating window. I'd say a day or two of process would be very sound for most people in terms of making important decisions, like say in terms of a job. And another little key piece of advice that my father gave me was using a Benjamin Franklin, right? Weighing the pros and the cons based on their individual weights, right? And coming out with like a weighted result, one side or the other, and use that to be your, I guess, tiebreaker if you can't really come to a decision. That the Benjamin Franklin method is a very good tiebreaker. Just weigh up the pros and the cons and weigh them individually based on their individual weights, and you can get a good approximate decision automatically just based on that, as long as you can kind of perceive the correct pros and cons and be honest with yourself about it. But I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
We got
then,
these
okay,
super
hold on.
chats. Hey,
Hold on,
I got
before,
Huds.
hold on. Before we get to the super chat, Yu-Gi-Oh, that just like kind of made me irk. I love Yu-Gi-Oh, and
Yeah.
so Tarl, you know how like they have the ghost rares, and like the ghost rare like Black Rose Dragon was like one of the most expensive and highly coveted cards back in the day, back in like 2010. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
That was shortly after I got out of Yu-Gi-Oh, so I don't.
you guys are all children.
So
MTG, man.
it's
MTG.
been 1 year. It's been 1 year since I started this. If you use UV lighting on a card, you can actually turn it into a fake ghost rare. And so I officially have made myself my own ghost rare of a Black Rose Dragon, and I just looked at it yesterday, and I couldn't be happier. I'm glad that Nuke, you understand what I'm talking about. I just wanted to share that. You got me riled up because I love Yu-Gi-Oh as well.
Well, I have a question for you.
Yeah?
So, we just talked about some decisions require beautiful. Some decisions require like time, right?
Patience, yeah. Time, patience.
Are there some decisions that more time is detrimental? And do you know what I'm talking about?
I would think, at least for me, I mean, it could be leaving a relationship. It could be leaving a job. For me, it's been leaving a job.
In terms of approaching
Mhm.
women, like you see a hot chick, the longer you take to approach her.
The 3-second rule, yeah. And
There
then
you go.
once you pass like the 3-second rule, then it just becomes awkward.
Yeah, there's decisions that if you take too long, it's just worse. Like your ROI, it just goes down. So, especially with women, if you see a hot chick, you go. Like, don't even you have to get into that mindset. And it's not only that. Like, there's certain things in life where the more you think about it, the worse the outcome will become.
Yeah.
You just got to, for example, guys that want to make content, just start. Don't fucking wait a year or 6 months or buy all the equipment. Just get your iPhone and talk, right? The longer you take to make that decision, you're just fucking yourself, because now you're not learning about YouTube and the algorithm and all that stuff, right? And there's certain decisions that you have to realize that you don't have time. You have to make the decision instantly, right? I think the first thing you should realize about a woman is make sure she doesn't have a boyfriend. Kind of look at the body language of the guys that are with her or near her, and then after that, you walk right up. And I realized that when I go salsa dancing, the days where I go and I'm waiting for the chick that I like and that I'm into to show up are the worst. I just have bad energy or something, right? But the days where I dance with grandma, the fat chick, my female friend, I asked the bartender, "Hey, get on the floor, let's dance." I do. Everyone loves me. Everyone's looking at me because I just said, "Fuck it, I'm sending it. Let's go. Let's dance. You." And you have to identify which decisions require time and which decisions are negatively affected by time.
Absolutely.
Well, I asked you. Yeah.
Let's do these super chats and then go to Laurent. He had something. So Mike, I'm putting you up to read the super chats.
All right. Danny Arnold with the $10 super chat. Get after it, said Juckle Willick one time. I think he did. I was there when he said it. Damn fine episode, man. Damn fine indeed. Here's a little something for the cookie jar. Skull, you fine gentlemen. Not enough cowbell.
Cool.
The sounds. Where are the sounds?
What?
The sound drops. That's Christopher Walken.
Yeah, and
love the
real
Christopher
quick
Walken.
tip about Jocko co-authored a book called Extreme Ownership.
Yes.
Check it out.
Good book.
Yeah, it's a good book.
Oop. I accidentally hit it twice. My bad.
No worries.
I actually had on loop.
Thank you very much, Danny, for
I like
your
hearing my
support.
voice cry out to my father.
Julian Reyes with the $4 super chat.
Sorry. I'm messing this up today. Give him another own horn.
There we go.
Very good, Julian. Thank you.
Yes, for the cause. Fantastic show today.
We have the best chat room. It really helps out, guys. We really appreciate you. We're having such a blast and glad that you can all join us. Be sure and subscribe and hit the like button for every one of these guys that's broadcasting. I mean, I got my channel. Laurent's got his, Mike Steele. AJ's got his Viking Detailer channel. Tarl is up and coming with his channel. Keep an eye out. Subscribe. It's really funny because, I've been subscribed to Nuke for a long time. And I was just on there with my phone the other day, and I checked, and it said subscribe. I was already subscribed to him, but YouTube does some funny things and will unsubscribe people sometimes. So be aware.
Yes, it will. If you're not active for a period of time, about every 6 months, YouTube does a purge. And whether you are considered possibly a bot or inactive, you will get purged from people's YouTube channels. And this happens to people sometimes, even if you aren't inactive. Sometimes there's some theory that this is when YouTube moderators may maliciously do purge, but there's no public validation for any of that. That's kind of like hearsay behind the scenes, but it is theoretically possible. And so you should check, that you're still subscribed to your favorite content creators, especially if they engage in content that might be considered controversial in certain mainstream groups.
And now we got Danny Arnold with the $5 super chat.
Shame this horse.
There we go. Shame these whores. Shame them all.
Elena.
Each and every one of them. All at once. I don't care. They're the worst. I'm the best. Simple as that. Thank you, Danny Arnold. Good guy. Known him a long time.
God damn, that's the best.
All right. And then Laurent, you had something to say a couple minutes ago.
Oh, I mean, I like the presidential impersonation because I forgot what I had to say.
He doesn't know what he said. I don't know what he was saying. He doesn't know either. He's over here. He falls asleep. I'm not.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So amazing.
Did
Did
you
you guys,
seriously
did
forget?
you guys
Laura?
watch it? Did you guys watch it this week? Because, honestly, I didn't know that I was watching a serious debate that's supposed to decide the future of our nation. I thought it was a comedy special.
Oh, interesting you would say that. I did catch the clips, and what I had saw after the aftermath, everybody acts surprised. Is anybody surprised at all?
I wasn't.
I wasn't.
I mean, did you guys watch the left talking heads and politicians, what
I
they were
predicted
saying?
this 4 years ago.
They were shocked. They were shocked, and I thought it just didn't make sense to me. How are
It
you
didn't make
shocked?
sense.
Have you just not been?
This is
Yeah.
actually part of the plan, Huds. This is 100% part of the plan, was to demonstrate publicly, and this is where Trump could have messed up because, yes, he can easily defeat him in any normal debate. The problem is, I'm pretty sure he felt he had no choice. He had to get out there and increase and take that chance, but this is actually contrived. Why do you think Gavin Newsom was present at the entire debate and made commentary previous and then afterwards? He is the reluctant king.
They're going to
And
swap.
The Democrats absolutely know that. and they needed to demonstrate publicly that Joe is just not quite up to snuff. And then to have all the talking heads act like they were shocked and surprised and we have to fix this right now is just to get public favor to allow them to subvert their own rules and select a candidate they think will actually win without any of the rigmarole or the scrutiny that would have gone on normally. So you're going to get Mr. Gavin Zedong from China-fornia as the candidate. And you're not even going to have a chance to get his history out there. That's the plan. It hasn't deviated. These are all actors that have been manipulated into it. If you just slightly pay attention, but you don't, if you dive into this 100%, you'll be blinded by all the baffling bullshit out there. But this is a really easy plan to see. I don't know. How did you guys take it?
I took it the same way. I know that that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to swap them out without it like looking bad on the party. I absolutely think that they're going to be pushing Gavin Newsom to swap out. And yeah, Gavin Newsom's done a lot of really cruddy things over in California. And by doing it in this way, you're absolutely right, Thor. They don't have enough time. Like, people don't have enough time.
You know, he met with Xi Jinping here in California. He met with him. He went to China. It's just the last 6 months. 100%. It's crazy that people would think it's anything other than what it actually is.
Yeah, I've always been told that like the main presidential election is more or less a dog and pony show meant to distract you. Right?
Yeah.
Distract you from what? Distract you from, you get so, the majority of Americans get so burned out after the presidential election cycle that they neglect to vote in the next local election cycle. And this is where the true power is, and this is where the true local changes that actually affect you are made. And this is where a lot of these candidates like, Cortez and all these types of people, this is how they get in. They get platformed in these small local elections, and then they gain influence. And you see the kind of influence they have once they get in. Why does this woman that doesn't understand the economy get to weigh in on the economy? Well, because she got voted in a local election that people weren't really paying attention to, right? If people actually paid attention to that stuff, then they would actually be able to shift power in the country. And that's what I would say, that, I still vote in the presidential election, but just beware. You only have so much mental bandwidth you can spend every day on stuff. And a lot of this extra bullshit is nothing more than a distraction. It's the same thing with the TikTok brain stuff, right? It's all meant to distract you. It's the jingling keys distracting the children away from what mommy and daddy are actually doing. And if you understand that,
you don't live in a Marxist regime, which we do.
Yeah. But that's because most people believe in it, and the system moves with the group, right? And so that's why it's like, we're not yet. It's just like, well, we have so many people that believe it that we are living in it, and you got to move accordingly, right? Understand the system is, more or less, metaphorically rigged, but that's not a bad thing if you can pay attention, understand how things are going to go. Right. Once again, if you're aware and you're not being distracted, then you're able to, it's kind of like, I'll use the analogy from the last George A. Romero zombie movie. The one zombie, the dude that worked at the gas station that realizes that the fireworks and all that shit is nothing but a distraction and starts acting rather than being distracted by the pretty lights in the sky. And then he actually starts fucking their shit up when other zombies start following him and fucking their shit up. Little metaphorical. When the zombies stop being distracted and oblivious, they can do a lot more damage. Surprise, surprise. Metaphorically, that's true in the real world. So if you stop being distracted by the fireworks and actually focus on the things that shift power, then you'll be much better off as an individual. And once again, this comes back to everything we talked about taking personal accountability, having some self-reflection, and being able to get out of analysis paralysis where you're just looking at the pretty colors.
That kind of rolls into my third and final point I had for today to go over, was the importance of having like the actionable advice, actionable information that we give, like how to bring that about, how it helps you out with dealing with analysis paralysis, and like get into certain coaching, having goals, accountability partners, that stuff. Anyone want to talk about that?
Yeah, I touched on the accountability partners before. That is something as an individual I found that the accountability partner stuff actually sticks me in analysis paralysis more than it actually prevents me. For a lot of guys, though, majority of guys, that does keep them from falling into analysis paralysis because they got somebody to bounce their ideas off of then. And as long as they don't sit there circle jerking and just talking about the stuff and actually talking about focusing on executable changes in each individual's life. This is where, even mentor and mentee relationships can go both ways. And in terms of that same framework that Jocko lays out in Extreme Ownership, is that communication has to be able to go up and down the command chain, right? And this is where everybody in the command chain can benefit when it does.
Mm-hmm.
Laurent?
I would just say this: reduce your variables when it comes to this. That will help you with your analysis paralysis. It's the one bite at a time thing.
Yeah, I will echo Captain Thor here. I participate in the Landmark Forum. So the Landmark Forum is Launch Group Awareness Training, and their motto is "Without an integrity, nothing works." So what is integrity? Integrity is you say what you're going to do and you do what you're going to say. And we all fall out of integrity. So, I mean, especially if you grow, you're going to fall out of integrity here and there. So try to be in 100% integrity all the time will have you trapped working at a convenience store or the post office. Now, all this to say that actually what makes a ton of sense is to the first step that I would take is to close open loops. I'll give you a very precise and concrete example. This week I did like some procrastination hypnosis using the Frank Fowler method, and little stuff, we all have those open loops. And within 24 hours, I did a proxy that my cousin, for a vote that my cousin nagged me about. I solved a litigation with a property that I have. I also closed another deal with a property in my hometown, New Caledonia. I calculated my taxes for New Caledonia as well. I filed my taxes, All those small things. I even built a company that had a year and a half backlog of invoices for these guys. And it's small things. But closing those open loops, this is really where I would start. And restoring integrity, this is the whole point. Restoring integrity gives you power. Closing those small loops, like very small things, start there. And then you realize you have much more power than you think. It'll give you momentum, and then you can march on. Because all those small things, they occupy real estate in our head. Oh, shit, I should have done this. Oh, shit, I should have thrown this away.
They pile up.
I should have. Exactly. And they occupy a lot of real estate. And this weighs on that, this bears on that. So start by closing those open loops. And then you realize momentum, more power, more freedom than you think you have. Does it make sense?
Yes. And Jordan Peterson talks about this. And guys, I would never recommend ever going to Jordan Peterson for relationship or dating advice. Go to someone like Ryan Stone. But as far as like other things go, Jordan's usually on the money like 80% of the time. And he calls this slaying the dragon. Basically, everything that, like, the things that don't give you anxiety, that's not a dragon, right? Taking a shower, does that give you, like, anxiety? Do you dread doing it? No, then that's not a dragon. It gives
me anxiety.
Well, that's
not that type of shower.
That's because you're a hairy, nasty Viking. But he talks about, like, going to the DMV, standing in line, paying all this money, talking to people you hate, they hate you, all so you don't go to jail, right? If that gives you anxiety and drives you batty, then that's a dragon that needs to be slain. So that's kind of like what Laurent was talking about. You slay all these little dragons day to day, and you handle these things, because if they pile up, if you don't pay your car insurance, and then you don't renew your tags, and then you don't change the oil and all this, it will keep piling up and piling up and piling up until finally you get pulled over, thrown in jail, your car blows up, and it gets impounded, and now you lose your job. All because you didn't do one thing at a time.
Ooh, that's good.
Silence.
No.
I'm like, what? I'm waiting for like Nuke or Huds.
Okay, this is gonna be fun. No one gives a fuck what you do, dude. If you're watching this, you got a decision that you're gonna make. I don't give a fuck what you do. No one on this panel really cares about you. Live your own fucking life. You are just do it, right? No one cares. Just do it. No one really cares about what you do, man. Like really, seriously, no one cares. You will make mistakes. No one's gonna know about those mistakes. You are not beholden to any of us. Looking at us, and we're giving you notes to trade, right? But if you ever want to become your own mental point of origin, accept that it's on you. No one here. I can't help you, dude. I can't approach a girl for you. I can't tell you to open up a 401k or do anything like that. It's on you. You have to start learning to trust yourself. And with trusting yourself too, you have to learn to forgive yourself when you mess up. That's all you got, right? I know that humans are we have this thing where we want to go to people that are smarter than us. You know, we have the internet effect because there's a screen here, and you think, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about, right? But at the end of the day, you know, I can only tell you what worked for me, and that's it. I can't guarantee it's going to work for you. It probably will, but I can't guarantee it's going to work for you. And I can't guarantee it's going to work for me again. I just say, hey, this happened. This worked for me. This crypto coin or this girl or this whatever, it all worked out. Try it out, right? Because at the end of the day, that's all you got. No one on here really is worried about you. Because why would I worry about you if you don't worry about yourself? Like you only need to worry about yourself. Everything else would come in place, right? And always think about that, because any one of us here can turn out to be assholes, bad people, terrible people, right? But at the end of the day, you have to rely on yourself. And then one day you'll be able to say that to the next group or the next guy that really needs that, because there are people in this life that cannot make a decision without checking in with literally everyone. And at one point, you're going to have to push that button, that big red button. Remember Peter Griffin when it had that big red button behind it and said, do not push, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to have to push that button one day. And trust me, it's terrifying. And there's going to be no one there. No one there. No one. No one's going to say, I got you, bro, in case this turns out bad. You're on your own. You can lose it all by a button push. And everyone's going to think you fucked it up on your own. And it could be everyone else that forced you to push that button. But you have to push the button. I had to push the button several times in my life. Sometimes it worked out. Sometimes it didn't. But at the end of the day, I did what I could. I forgave myself, which is the number one most important thing of analysis paralysis, is that on the other side, you may not know what could happen. And if it does happen, you got to look at yourself and be like, damn, well, I messed up. What can I do except do better next time, I guess. I don't know. And then trade notes. Nuke. Yeah, trade notes with other guys that say, hey, I fucked up. No one's going to make fun of you. They're going to be like, hey, thanks. I won't do what you did, you know, and then move on.
Yeah, and then they won't listen.
Yeah, yeah, I know they won't listen.
I don't mean to cut you off. I just want to make
sure. I'm all done.
I want to throw my final thought in here. How do we learn as children? We learn by experience. We don't listen when they say don't touch the hot stove. We always touch the hot stove. So take a moment to think about that. That's how we develop from children into adults. How about we start doing the same thing? How about you try something to learn from it? I can't tell you, like, Nuke, as you were saying, like with girls and then with crypto coins and all that type of stuff. I've done so much stupid shit, lost so much money in dumb investments. I've gotten blown out and upset over dumb dates or interactions with women. But I learned from doing that. This is the only way you do learn. I think the analysis paralysis is that everybody's trying to absorb all of the information as much as possible before they make an action, and you're never going to understand it all until you actually start trying some of those different pieces. So don't be scared. And exactly what you said too. Nobody gives a shit about you. It's kind of like ridiculous. And once I kind of like accepted that and internalized that, then everything changed. Like, people aren't thinking about you when you're not around.
Best thing ever. It's so awesome. Like, I'm living my life right now. I can do whatever I want as long as it's within the law and don't piss off my employer. And no one cares. I got doxxed by like 5 girls on that page on Facebook. I'm friends with one of them. The other ones are just like, oh, okay, cool. And I know that's not like a good example, right? But realize that sometimes the consequences aren't as bad, right? You may get divorced one day. It's going to be painful. You may get a breakup, right? You may get screenshotted because you slid into a girl's DMs and be put everywhere, right? At the end of the day, have you ever skipped a meal? Have you ever been hungrier longer than a day? Have you ever not slept in a nice air-conditioned place? It's been 30 years, right? For me, 34 years, and I've been constantly comfortable and always figured it out. So that's, once you get 30, guys, for you guys that are under 30, you're going to start realizing, wait, I made it this far and I'm not dead and I'm not like addicted to drugs. I didn't get a girl pregnant. And if I did get a girl pregnant, I kind of took care of it. How about I just start trusting myself and then stop looking at gurus as know-it-alls and more like guys that know things that I don't that may help me. And then you'll start being, oh, this is why your 30s are so awesome. It's because you fucking finally believe in yourself. You finally like, I made it this far and I'm still alive. And nothing has happened to me except maybe, you know, I got an injury here and a little heartbreak there. Like everyone gets heartbroken or whatever. Or I got fired. Like nothing big. You're still alive. And not only that, you're a muscular. Like you did something intelligent. And not only that, you have a friend. A lot of people don't have like you're doing better than you think. But at the same time, that you have to start believing in yourself and your ability, because that is the number one thing in terms of making a decision. You have to look at yourself and say, I've done it before. I made a decision before, and it's scary, but I think I got this. I can do it. I think I got this.
It could be worse, guys. There could be exploding drones chasing you down the street.
And you'd probably handle that too. Yeah, if there was a house fire right now, all of you guys would know what to do. I know that sounds crazy, but as a guy who got trained to take 15 actions in 15 seconds, knowing that I couldn't, and I did it, and I went into like this kind of like zone where I was just like doing switches like the Matrix, right? And I was like, how the fuck did I do that? And they're like, you always had it. I know it sounds corny, like contrived, like a movie, right?
Pre-decisions.
Yeah,
I got a story. I got a story for you on that. There was one time at my fraternity house that we accidentally lit a Christian, because the way it was like an overhang on the patio in the fenced-in area, and it accidentally lit on fire. And it was split second. Like, what do I do with a full burning Christmas tree that is already burning the second floor above it? How do I handle this so that we don't burn the entire fucking house down right now? And it just was like, there was no thinking involved. It was just immediate, grab it by the base, dragging it out into as secluded as it possibly could within the area, and let it burn out. It became a 3-story fucking fire. And like the way that it works at my school is like, it's a bunch of different fraternities all right there, a bunch of different mansions. So like people are going out at this hour. Like, so the streets are just seeing this 3-story fire going on right within our like area or porch area. And if I didn't move that quickly, like even if I was like 10 seconds later, done, the entire house would have been burnt down.
Yeah, it's within all of us. We're all like, this is the cool thing about being a man and being human. We have that ability to just fucking go into a zone and start making decisions rapid fire. So don't underestimate your decision making abilities, right? Like there could be moments where you know, you've swerved out of the way and gotten and avoided an accident, right? And you think that's not a big deal, but I'm like, that's sign your brain is working. Like apply that to a lot of things in life, you'll be fine. Like I've gone out with guys where they're talking to women, and then they start a conversation, and then 5 minutes in, it's like they're in a zone, right? Because just like many things, like playing piano or streaming or anything, you just get in the zone and you're in the zone, and then you realize, and then when you're in the zone, that self-awareness starts kicking in again, right? Your brain starts catching up, and he realizes, I am talking to a girl, and if she has her cleavage out, and I'm holding eye contact, and she's laughing, and her hand is on my shoulder, and I'm like, yeah, dude, you made a decision. Your brain went into ultra instinct mode, and now you don't have to tweet about how all women are whores. You can now start tweeting about how do I get the next woman to say yes. And once you've done it once, you could do it twice. And that's why we say the abundance mentality and dating multiple girls is so important, because it blunts that feeling that I have to make a decision. The decision's already made, right? You only have to make one. And that one decision is talk to her, talk to her. Because once she says something back, your brain, the algorithm runs. You're not thinking, you're just running the algorithm. It's natural. It's not even, and then the outcome is ask for a number. If she says no, you're going to be so satisfied with how you handle that interaction, things that 99% of men don't do, that you're going to be like, I'm not mad. I'm actually proud of him. I'm happy. And even to this day, even a crusty old guy like me, I still, even if I'm rejected, I fucking love the whole thing from beginning to end. And look at decision making like that. Hey, I got a shitty decision I got to make. You make it, bad things happen or good things happen, but you made a decision. And you know what? A lot of guys don't have the balls to make a decision. So be easy on yourself.
You're not crusty, dude. You know that TV show, The Tulsa King? Well, you're the Salsa King.
No, dude, I'm
Dude,
crusty.
You're not crusty, dude.
I didn't sleep well last night, you know. So,
All right.
but yeah, guys, I gotta go, guys. But thanks for having me. I'll see you guys next week.
All right.
Then we got super chat from P Dubs.
P Dubs. Duarte6969 with the $5 super chat. Great pod class. Keep up their good workout, guys. Oh.
No, keep up the good work. He fixed it afterwards.
Oh,
but
okay.
P-Dubs, thank you so much. Really appreciate your support, man.
Thank you. We appreciate that as always. Thank you, everyone, so much. So
this way, who wants to go next? Final thoughts.
Well,
and
let's close it out. Let's close it out,
Yeah,
Carl.
I guess it's me. So yeah, for what I'm doing, I'm trying to grow the channel. So if anybody hasn't subscribed yet, I'm gonna post it in the channel. Please give me a subscribe. I'm trying to grow. So thank you. And then final thoughts. Once again, it comes back. It kind of goes full circle. It always ends up going full circle, where it always comes back to you as an individual. You need to take accountability for your actions, your assessment of the situation, and be able to make a personally educated decision on the matter. Right? That's how, you know, and once again, like the paralysis analysis, a lot of people have that process, but they never finish it. Right? That's the thing, is like the analysis process is that same process that Nuke talked about in a split-second decision, say in the situation of a house fire. You have to actually process what the fuck is happening, assess what you can do about it, what you personally can do about it, not what other people can do about it, what you can do about the situation, and then you have to engage in actual taking proactive action to accomplish it. Right? When I dealt with a house fire, it was immediately going out to the hallway to get a fire extinguisher after I identified the source of the blaze, which was the air conditioning / heater unit of the neighbor's porch, right? And this is a 3rd-story unit, right? So then the next thing I go do, grab a fire extinguisher, control that blaze so it doesn't go up into the attic. And I knew that there would be 5 minutes for the fire department to get there from when they were called. So it was going to take about 10 minutes that I need to hold this fire off from getting into the roof. Otherwise, the whole building was going up. Right. I knew that because I used to know an arson chief, and I talked to him about like the plastic fires, like the Christmas trees and stuff like that. Hud's talking about 3-story fucking torch. Imagine that's in your house. That's going to go all the way through your roof. And once that air pocket ignites in there, the entire roof is ablaze and the house is cooked, literally. So that's a fun fire fact there in terms of that. So once again, and what did I do when that fire extinguisher ran out? I ran down to the 2nd floor and got the other fire extinguisher and emptied that one. Right. And then formed a bucket chain to slow the fire down until the fire department got there. What ended up happening when all that was said and done, what happened was the 2 units below that unit had more water damage than there was fire damage in the apartment. Our apartment didn't get damaged at all, and the neighbors got a little bit fucked up, but everybody survived and was okay. Yeah, fun facts with Tarl. So, but this is good information to know about, you know, in terms of house fires and stuff like that, knowing how far away the fire department is and stuff like that. And being able to honestly assess the situation and what you personally can do about it. This goes from split-second decisions like that straight up to like making decisions about jobs and relationships. You have to be able to analyze the situation honestly and actually understand your power in the situation honestly. If you can do those 2 things, you can do almost anything you put your mind to. And even the obstacles that get in your way, you will figure out ways to overcome them or get around them.
Awesome. Put Laurent up because it's early in the morning there. Final thoughts?
All right, final thoughts. Yeah, separate what needs to be. A couple of things about decision making. The ones that are reversible, go out and do things. Restore integrity, do things. The one that are more irreversible, take your time, sleep on it, because those ones, it's a one-way ticket. Second thing is too bad Nuke went out. I guess it's our final thoughts, because with Ryan we are releasing something about men's anxieties, and Nuke was the perfect commercial for it today. You see a chick, you go out, approach, and very often we have this fight or flight, and we freeze. So our product is really to get rid of the freeze. Then how do we escalate and close? Like you've been flirting, okay, time to take it to the next level. And then da-da-da, the grand moment. So approach, close, perform. And this product really releases, it clears, it transforms approach anxiety into approach superpower. So I wish Nuke was here because he ticked all the good points today. But anyhow, so that was it for where I am now. And again, thank you guys. It was a very fun show. Always a pleasure, and I learned a ton with you, gentlemen. So always a pleasure. Great privilege being with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Bring you up, Mike.
Thank you very much. Guys, last two things to consider, I'll say again. Number one, if you have analysis paralysis, if you can't make a decision because you're overly concerned with how others are going to react, what they're going to think about you, and things like that, that's actually the height of egotism. Because most people, 99.999999 infinite repeating percent of the people on the planet don't think about you at all. They don't care about you. They got their own shit going on. So the fact that you're paralyzed, worrying about how other people are going to react to your decisions with how you run your life, that's actually assuming that the whole world is revolving around you, which is incredibly selfish and egotistical. Two, even if they care, again, half of everybody is going to disapprove. Earlier in the show, when I said, no matter what you do, half the world is going to hate you, what I really should have said was, well, if people were informed of what you were doing, half of them would disapprove. If you chose red, everyone who loves the color green is going to give you shit. If you chose green, all the people that love red are going to give you shit. So it doesn't matter if you approach girl A or girl B, you're going to piss somebody off if they give a damn. So you may as well talk to the girl you want. You may as well get the job that you want, because if you don't piss your parents off, you'll piss your brother off. Oh, your brother approves of your job decision? Well, now your parents are pissed off. So it's like that parable of the father and the son taking the donkey to market, and every village they go to, they keep getting criticized. Oh, they're both walking, he should put his son on the donkey. Next village, why is his son on the donkey? That's disrespectful to his elders. Then the father rides the donkey. And then the next village is like, why is the father making his son walk? That's child cruelty. Then they both ride the donkey. And then the next village says, why are they both riding the donkey? That's cruel to the donkey. And then eventually they arrive at the market, and they're both carrying the donkey, and all the market stall guys point and laugh at them. It's like, look at these two idiots carrying their donkey. Why don't they just walk it? Don't let that be your life. Do what you want, as long as it's legal. Do what you want, and stop worrying about what other people care about, the decisions you're going to make, because they're not even thinking about you in the first place. They don't care about you. They're not going to save you. So screw them.
Yep.
Yes. And where can we find you, Mike, after that beautiful speech?
Down here, Instagram, that's where I keep things wholesome. Food, celebrities, sightseeing, stuff like that. X, that's where me and guys like Nuke and Jack Napier raw dog the internet.
I love it.
Fair enough. All right, good stuff. Yeah, I really enjoyed this show. I mean, the number one thing to take away from it, just do it. Just do it. Like, when it comes to all of the information that we're giving here, and whenever you get information online on how to improve your life, just take an action. And don't get discouraged when you get a bad reaction. As Mike was saying, people don't care. People don't care about you. They're not thinking about you that often. Outside of that, you can follow me at Instagram at the Hudsman. I'm going to go ahead and throw my YouTube channel in the chat as well, if you want to follow. And if you're interested in a men's group, I know we've got the Dragons membership. We got Beer Club. We have all these different organizations. I have Men of Now, which really is focused of we are men of now. How do we be better leaders, not just for ourselves, but for others in the future? And so thank you very much, AJ. I have to say that I'm going to go do some red pill masturbation with my White Claw. All right.
You're going to be doing a Jesus Paul Power Hour?
I don't know what the hell I'm going to get into, but all I know is I'm not going to take action. But that's a relaxing Saturday activity.
Gotcha. All right. I think everyone pretty much hit everything I wanted to say. If you're having still having anxiety, like paralysis, like your anxiety is causing your paralysis, like especially with approach anxiety, repetition does help break it. And like you'll get more and more comfortable as it goes on. I kind of did an exercise up in Canada back in October. Had to approach 100 women in a 24-hour period. Got to 107. It was painful. Like I have all this knowledge, but I still got to do it. Even to this day, I still find it painful. So it's one of those things that you just got to get over, or just get used to it and get comfortable with it. And I think that's where I want to go with that. Where you can find me, I'm about to post my links in the chat. Give me 1 second. Should work. And you want to play the song, Huds? We're gonna exit out.
Oh yeah, I need some motivation.
Oh,
I got it, guys. So at the end of the day, just do it. Just do it.
Some people dream success. Don't let your dreams be dreams. You should get to a point where anyone else will quit, and you're not gonna stop there. So just do it. Make your dreams come true. Do it. Nothing is impossible. Do it. Make your dreams come true. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Just do it. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday you said tomorrow. Yesterday you said tomorrow. Yesterday you said no. You're gonna wake up and work hard at. You're gonna wake up and stop giving up. You're gonna wake up and work hard at. You're gonna wake up and make your dreams come true. Don't let your dreams be dreams. What are you waiting for? Yesterday you said tomorrow. Yesterday you said tomorrow. Yesterday you said no. You're gonna wake up and work hard at. You're gonna wake up and stop giving up. You're gonna wake up and work hard at.
sorry, guys. I gotta stop right there.
Oh come on, I love Shia LaBeouf.
Oh man, I'm gonna play a Thor ad and then I'm gonna close this.
Ever feel like the world is trying to make you smaller? That the qualities that used to define you are now something to be ashamed of? It's not just you. For decades, society has been pushing men to fit into a mold that doesn't match who they are. But there's a way out. A path to reclaim what it means to be a man. A Dominant Masculine Presence by R.P. Thor is the guide you've been waiting for. In this book, you'll discover the 7 essential skills that every man needs to stand tall and take control. Learn how to project confidence, master your emotions, and communicate with authority. R.P. Thor takes you through real-life examples, sharing practical techniques to help you develop your own dominant masculine presence. It's time to stop feeling sidelined. Time to step up and lead. With a dominant masculine presence, you can become the man you were meant to be. Order a Dominant Masculine Presence now on Amazon or listen on Audible. Rediscover your strength. Reclaim your life.